Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host Evan Tig, and with me, like always, is my super friend Noah Bailey.
Woo!
So, the first official teaser trailer for James Gunn's Superman dropped today. So, I thought it would be fun if we did something we haven't done since the first Endgame trailer came out, 5 years ago? Six, maybe? Yeah, it was like December of 2018.
Six?
Six,
Yeah.
yeah, because 2018. Um, so let's just do like a fun trailer watch breakdown type thing. So yeah, let's jump right into it. Okay, so you can see my screen fine.
I see it perfectly.
Okay, so here we go. Already, absolutely love that this Superman is like a little vulnerable. I don't love when Superman is just this unstoppable force that like it feels like in order for him to have any kind of like threat, it almost makes him feel out of character to be losing at all. I like the Superman having
Yeah.
at least like some kind of limitation, clearly from being in
Yeah,
the
and
crater. So
there's not a ton of context, but it seems like not directly kryptonite related also. Just like
hmm,
genuine just struggle. So
yeah,
that's also a good sign too.
absolutely. Okay, back at
The Yamcha pose also. Just-
it again. I love his Clark. I love that if you looked at that guy, you would have zero reason to think he was Superman. Not even
you know,
like his hair is completely different. Like the glasses just look, his posture is different. I really
it's
dig
just
that.
like uncoordinated. He looked lost walking around. Like he looked very deer in headlights just as a person. Like
Yeah,
you'll think that's the strongest guy on the planet.
yeah. I've seen people make fun of this design because it looks dumb, but like
That's kind of the point.
that's the point. The point is that he's supposed to look unassuming. He's supposed to not look like Superman. It's been a meme for decades that like that's obviously Superman. He looks just like him, but this guy they specifically tried to make him look different. And I like that. Again, his posture incredible.
I mean, look at
um,
the Daily Planet, man. Just, I mean, there's like there that guy's obviously like it's just like
mm,
you could like point out people. You're like, oh, this is perfect. Like he's got
Steve Holt,
the
is that his name? Not Steve
mustache.
Holt. That's Arrested Development. What's his name?
Mm-mm. Isn't it like
What, what's his name?
Steve something, right? Isn't it? Oh, what's the guy?
I thought of it earlier today, but it's escaping me now.
What's the guy's name?
Uh,
Oh my gosh, it's like
yeah, whatever. But yeah, he's them. Also the music. I was a little concerned at first when it was like rumored that the score for this movie will be essentially just a rendition of the John Williams theme, and like,
mhm.
oh, that's a little boring, just doing that theme again. But when that theme is scored with electric guitar, yeah, I dig it.
I mean, it's classic. It is still the most recognizable Superman theme, I would say. And
Yeah.
also, like, yeah, like, why not? Especially,
Mm-hmm.
also, Steve
Like it's
Lombard is his name. I knew it was Steve, but Steve Lombard.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
The mustache is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's one of the most iconic theme songs of all time. Definitely, at least like one of the most rivaling rivaled only by the Tim Burton Batman. Like really, well, maybe the Dark Knight Batman theme.
Yeah.
A Batman theme might be the only other one that's even like close.
I like the Dark Knight thing, but I think the Tim Burton Batman. I mean, people who don't like Batman know that one, so it's like that's probably the only one above that. It's like, yeah, everybody knows like the da 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 da, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, but like
this one's I think
this
is
is
great.
Yeah, but it is like a rendition of it, but he made it his own thing, and I think that was a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Wait, let me get a more flattering picture. Lois Lane looks incredible. Black hair. That's all I ask. Literally.
Yeah. Black hair looks like she has the like go getter. I don't have time for this like vibe, and that's exactly what you expect from Lois Lane. It's kind of wild because they're like, oh, they look kind of young, but also like, well, I think we're also just getting older.
Yeah. Well.
Like if they were like, it was like if you imagine like assuming they're like on the younger side. It's like, well, if you at my job we have like younger people interns. I'm like, yeah, that's like the starting age. Like that looks about right, like early 20s. Like, yeah, that seems pretty much on par. So it's like, oh wow, yeah, I guess I'm just getting older.
I guess. Yeah, and just aesthetically, I like this Lois a lot more than Amy Adams's. I love Amy Adams as an actress, but her Lois Lane not having black hair was a travesty. That's all I ask. It's like I didn't think I cared that much about hair color, but I think I really do when it comes to Lois Lane.
It's one of those things where like it's iconic for Lois Lane because she's always had it, and also it just kind of that's one of the it always stands out with Lois. Like you always like it's the fast talking, smart, wisecracking, and it's also like the black hair is very iconic. So it's kind of like every version has had that dark hair. Yeah. So it kind of like throws you off when it's like, oh.
Yeah. Because like, yeah, it can be long, short, and ponytail. Like I don't care what it looks like as long as it's black hair. Like the Lois from My Adventures of Superman, that's a very different look, but it's still black hair. Like it's still very much Lois Lane.
Yeah, it works.
I just never really bought Amy Adams as Lois Lane. That was just Amy Adams. It's like
yeah. Yeah, but I mean.
All right. I love this look right here. I wonder if this is a moment where Superman he's either seeing something, or I guess Clark in this moment, seeing something on the television that he like is like, oh, I need to go save that. Or I also kind of saw it as like potentially him hearing something from somewhere else, being like,
that's what I was thinking.
Like that, a kid's in danger. Like, I need to go, but Lois is here. Like, just either way, it's like him as Clark realizing he needs to become Superman soon. Like, that's just something that I think, just that facial expression alone, just I think captures that perfectly. Kind of funny, a DC movie and a DC kind of marketing a Marvel movie. I think that's funny.
I mean,
appropriately quaint Kent farm.
Yeah, I told you about my buddy recently got married, and we had their like rehearsal dinner at his dad's farm. It looked exactly like that. like verbatim. Like I was like shocked. Like, yeah, this is exactly what a farmhouse looks like. Because like now, like you know what I mean, like in like the Volga, it's like, oh yeah, there's just like a giant barn and just like which like there was a barn. It is a farm, but it's like it's not like behind the house. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they have land. It's further down. There's not like like granted, there's still like cows in the yard and everything. I mean, there's one more fenced off a little further back, but like it's still a house with a long driveway. Like there's a pickup truck like that. That looks like every farm in 2024, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I really like this moment with his dad. I don't know exactly, like, this is gonna sound horrible, but I really like it when Clark's dad dies to a thing that Superman could not in any universe save, like a heart attack or some disease or something that he like. It just happens, like, which is one of the big reasons I don't love the first 30 minutes of Man of Steel, because his dad specifically is like, no, don't save me from this hurricane. You could easily just rush in and out. Like, these 20 people, we live in a small town. We can keep a secret. It's fine. But no, that movie would be so much better if, like, after everything his dad told him about, like, maybe you need to keep your secret safe. Like, I don't know if what I'm telling you is right, but, like, you need to figure that out. Then later, Superman's been in Metropolis for a while, away from his dad for a while. Ma Kent calls him, is like, honey, something happened. Cut to funeral. Your dad died of a heart attack. Like, that just, I think, would have made that so much stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, the whole like "don't save me" thing is just terrible, because the whole point of Superman is like his parents are the reason he wants to help people. He's this alien with insane ability, but he was raised as just a kid, like any other kid, to just raised by good people to be a good person. And that's who Clark is. And like not leaning into that as as he's growing up is like the most not Superman thing ever. It's like that's not how that works. Which, I mean, I guess works when your Superman isn't really Superman, but like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like this could be a scene where his dad's telling him he has cancer or has something, and Clark is there to console him, knowing that, like, there's nothing I can do. I just want to be here for my dad. I could even see a scene where Clark wants to be there for his dad, but then he hears or sees something on the news that he has to go help, and dad's like, you go there, I'll be here when you get back, and he's not. I easily see James doing something like that and just make everyone in the theater cry. Love it. I love the dog.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, it's one of those things where it's like the breed of dog is not that important. It just needs to be a white dog with a cape. Like that's the bar. And boom, white dog with a cape, looks lovable, love it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I like how he's a little fluffy. Like, it doesn't have to be, a big Great Dane or Labrador or whatever. It's just, just a dog. That's great. My brother, I messaged my brother like way early in the day, like 10 minutes after I watched the trailer. The Superman trailer looks dope, and he was like, I haven't seen it yet. And then later on, he messaged me back. He's like, I like the big monster, and I was like, I also like the big monster. And he was like, I like that it was white and fluffy. And I was like, oh, funny. Okay.
Crypto. Home. Take me home.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep. I already like it more than the last one.
Yeah, I assume that's like the kaiju stepped on whatever those are, and like the kid was. Let me just do this scene of like the entire thing real quick. Yeah, that's definitely the kaiju's foot, and Superman is there to save the little girl.
Yep, that's the most Superman thing I've ever seen. I love it.
Yeah, like one of the most quintessential things about Superman is, yes, it is his job to fight the big monster, to fight the big bad guy, but it's also his job to save the people that those people are attacking. Like,
yes,
It's
not ignore them when there's a threat, and then just let people be fodder. Like, that's so important.
Yes, the fight scenes in Man of Steel and BVS and whatever, those are pretty good fight scenes. But I think something those movies were significantly lacking was Superman having to divert his attention to helping people. It was only at the very end of the Zod fight that he had to choose between, saving 3 people when he could have just flown Zod up, whatever, or stabbing his neck. But like, if like in the Death of Superman movie, the entire time he's fighting Doomsday, he has to like protect the people Doomsday is about to wreck. I dig that a lot.
Right, and it explains why the fight has to go on for a while, because it takes a while to get Doomsday away from anyone working, so then Superman can go all out. But it's still, by that time, Doomsday's adjusted to how strong Superman is, and the fight goes longer and longer, and and it's not until it's so great that way.
Mm-hmm. So this clearly a scene where he's fighting the big kaiju, and like he has to divert his attention away to this girl who's about to get crushed or hit by this debris, and he's completely shielding her. Like that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, I think the colors of this shot in particular look very good. Well, even though there's a lot of stuff going on, you can clearly see Superman's, his frame, his colors, like it all just pops very well. It's the same cinematographer as the Guardians movies and the Suicide Squad. Those movies look great, so that makes sense. All right. There he is. There's old Baldy. Perfect.
No hair.
Literally perfect. You see, you not only does that moment instantly show how much Lex Luthor hates Superman just for existing. It cuts from Superman saving a child to Superman like whizzing by, and again like Luthor being immediately recognizable with the bald head, suit, the earpiece. Yes. Like it's just Then just like walking away, just
just so bad that he's just. Like, again, like, the pettiness of Luthor, it's like, I'm getting older and he's not. Like, all this, like, he's existing and I don't like it. And I'm so here for it. Like, yes, that is exactly right. Yes, the ultimate hater. But he looks really good in this. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. What, this?
Why is it Luthor?
I hate this. So, this is one of the things I saw and I was like, nope. I understand logically in the real world most things are named after last names. Sure. However, I liked that it was always LexCorp because Lex is such a narcissist, he doesn't want to give potentially anyone else credit down the line. Yes. And B, it just sounds better because Luthor Corp sounds kind of dumb.
What I'm thinking is, my hope is that Lex Luthor recently inherited this from his dad or something, and like his dad built this up as Luthor Corp, maybe as like something completely different. Like obviously Luthor is very into, Lex Luthor is very into like military tech and like science stuff, or maybe Luthor Corp was a pharmaceutical company or something with more altruistic intent, and then Lex Luthor inherited it from his dad. He just like recently, and especially after seeing Superman's here, he decides to pivot it into something a little more dangerous. And then I'm hoping by the end of the movie he renames it LexCorp, but I think my hope.
That would be a great. I mean, that makes me feel a lot better if that's actually what they do. I don't know if they're going to do that, but it's like how it looks like they're doing this by the book, so. That honestly, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But I'm also, like, because I saw this and I was initially like, ooh, red flag. But, like, if they do end up, like...
Yeah, it was one of the only things from the trailer that threw me off, that I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean... But again, they got so many other things, like, very less important things right.
Mhm.
And it feels like this is like, you know how some things it's like, how'd you get the hard, you got the hard question right, but you missed the layup. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he really missed the layup. Like, I have to see it first all the way through before I'd be giving them credit. But we'll see. But yeah, hopefully that's like something that changes.
It's either a complete whiff or it's going to be something very interesting. There's kind of no in between.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either like you said, like either whiff or misdirect, but hopefully the latter. But either way, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. But because the corpse sounds terrible.
Like, I mean, aesthetically, it looks nice where it's long enough to fit across the bridge, but you can just make the words bigger. It would be fine.
I mean, I kind of just like it when it's just. I mean, I can't see the whole building, but I just kind of like when the building's just a big L, just to be cartoonishly like weird. Because I mean, we got the Daily Planet. Like, I mean, we got the big giant globe on the Daily Planet, which is like perfect. So like,
Yeah, I don't think.
And maybe it is. You just can't tell.
Yeah, I don't think the globe shows up in this trailer, but it was in like the teaser before the teaser trailer.
Yeah, the
20-second thing.
The trailer for the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that opening shot of the teaser with like the big stupid globe on top of the Daily Planet, like perfect. And I saw a direct comparison between that and the Daily Planet from Man of Steel, and I'm like, wow, that is night and day difference. Because the Daily Planet and Man of Steel is just a building. It looks like if you just renamed it, you could rename it anything.
You can't even tell what it is.
Yeah. In fact,
one thing I really like about this trailer so far. Okay. No, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say in the Wayne Tech building in BVS is just the same shaped building as the Daily Planet. That shouldn't happen. Whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's what. No, you're good. But like, I think that's what I like about this trailer so far. It's like pretty much every location is like either very recognizable instantly, or it's like, it's very like, oh, this is important. You know what I mean? It's like you can tell. Like, if Superman, you know exactly where you are in every shot, basically.
Yes.
So I think that's really, and I feel like that's how comic books work. I mean, most comic books, I mean, unless they have the little like bubble in the corner that tells you, most of the time when they show up places, it's like, oh, we're here, we're there, we're wherever. And I like how this goes so far.
I also do hope that like either LexCorp building becomes this, or there is one that's this, like with the L on it, because like it is just, just like Luthor's bald head, it's very obviously recognizable. Like in even in Blue Beetle, there's like a pan over shot of the city they're in, and like there's a LexCorp building, there's an Acme building, like there's I think it was Acme, but regardless, like you can see the building with the L. Like that is where obviously in the DC universe, because there's a LexCorp building in this city. Like I want that here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Looks more like Agent 47 here with the suit and the gun, but that's fine.
I do like how it's like the classic revolver. There's something so nice about someone as sophisticated as Luthor having just like a simple revolver, nothing fancy, just something casual, just for funsies.
Mm-hmm. I imagine this is in the same sequence as when he has Superman in that like glass box. I wonder if it's him like running tests on Superman to see what he could break out of, what hurts him, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know if this is a kryptonite bullet, but it's maybe like some bullet that he designed that he thinks might be strong enough to hurt Superman or something. And then Superman breaks out of the glass because, of course, he does.
Yeah, Superman.
Man, just that scene with the music, with like, that kid knowing that Superman can hear him is just so, I think, very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, and I think this kind of points more towards like Superman. Yes, he's Metropolis, but it's also the difference between Superman and every other hero is Superman has not just Metropolis, but kind of the whole world in
Yeah.
his jurisdiction. This doesn't look like this is downtown, so it's kind of like the fact that everyone knows Superman's around and Superman, is here for the world is that just leans into the character and all the hope and everything that it brings, but also just that's Superman.
Yes. Absolutely. And even though Superman, fought tooth and nail against, I assume this is right after that kaiju fight. He clearly has that scorched suit and stuff. Like, people still don't like that he wasn't able to. He either caused too much destruction while doing it, or he didn't save everybody that he could have, or something, and they blame him for it. So,
yeah. I like how the can just goes flying as soon as it touches him. Also,
yeah, you see that again.
It just like it
like slow motion. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes fast even in slow motion. That's how you know it just goes like fly off. Which, like, again, when you're when you can when bullets bounce off you, I'm sure aluminum is not exactly formidable, but
yeah. Okay.
Guy Gardner
looks appropriately dumb.
Like, like the wig is hilarious. Like it's so funny because it was gonna be like it wasn't gonna be good. Like it's like on purpose, but it's just it looks like everyone else in the movie and he's like cosplaying. It's so funny. Like it's just
like I think it would be wrong if it looked better, Like, Guy Gardner's supposed to look as dumb as possible.
Right, like it's hard to take Guy Gardner seriously, and this just kind of leans into it because you kind of know you're just kind of like, bro.
Yeah, the Stag Corp was also like a good pull because we know Metamorpho's going to be in this movie, so he's got to be created somehow. That's good.
History with Stag Industries, yeah. But
I guess he created like a barrier around the door.
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl there.
In case anyone gets any ideas.
Yeah. Hawkgirl looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I imagine by the end of the movie, because apparently a big plot element of this is the superhero team, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl, they're on a team that's sponsored by Maxwell Lord. That's why they all have matching costumes and they look kind of dumb. I imagine by the end of the movie they'll kind of break out of that and be able to. I hope they'll be able to have more traditional costumes by the end of it.
Yeah.
I love this kaiju design. I love that it's not just Godzilla. Like, it's more like an axolotl looking thing. It's breathing fire. I love it.
They're just like, we need a monster. What kind? Yep.
Like, you may be questioning, where did the monster come from? Like, is that monster a specific character from the comics? Does it matter? I don't think so. Back in like the 50s, Metropolis was just overrun by monsters sometimes. That just happens. I think it's fine for that just to be a thing Metropolis has to deal with every now and then.
I mean, sure. I guess. Yeah. I guess we'll see. I don't know. It's just funny because it's just kind of like, where did that come from?
I mean, I could maybe see a thing where potentially it could be like Simon Stagg has like some kind of like radiation excess stuff that he's been dumping into the ocean, and it or dumping into like the harbor or something, and a little lizard or axolotl or some sea creature got radiated and turned big because of that. That's why he then enters the SAG Industries afterwards. Maybe, that's why it happened. And
Maybe. I mean, who knows?
Metamorpho got into that or
Yeah.
something, or it could just be a giant kaiju. Doesn't matter where it came from.
Yeah, maybe it is Stag. I don't know. He kind of, I mean, I don't know. I can see that happen. I like not looks like him, but like I don't know. For some reason, the weird head tendril things that kind of look like his hair. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it, but I don't know.
Okay, what is going on with that orb? It was in the first teaser.
Maybe it's. I don't know. I don't know. It's really hard to tell because it's kind of like it's far enough in the distance you can't really get a good look at it, but it's also like there's not a lot of things that could be.
Yeah. Also, Superman doesn't seem super worried about it.
Yeah, I mean he's got other things on his mind, I'm sure, but it's kind of like, hey, that looks kind of important.
Yeah. Like I don't even have a guess. Like my only possible, even what you could maybe even consider a guess is, there's at least a rumor, and we'll see this character in just a second, where there's a rumor that Lex Luthor in this movie is essentially going to be creating like a clone of Superman, calling it Ultraman. And I imagine over time we'll do like a Bizarro type thing where that clone will kind of degrade, and maybe this is some kind of like final form of that. It like degraded so much that it turned into a big orb. I don't think that makes sense, but that's the only possible thing I could think of, as opposed to just magic. I don't know who that would be. Who could create that?
I don't know. Maybe in the next trailer we'll get, because we didn't really. I mean, outside of Luthor, obviously, we didn't really see too much like villain wise. So probably that next trailer probably reveal more about that.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. That's one of like the robot guards at the Forces of Solitude. Mm-hmm. So the whatever villain that he fights, he comes back to the Forces of Solitude and it's destroyed or whatever. Because this is either it getting destroyed or it like reforming.
Does it do that?
I don't know. Admittedly, the Forces of Solitude as a concept is a little bit of a blind spot for me. Like, I know what it is. I don't really know where it came from or why it is like that. Do you know, like, what it is?
There's different iterations. I mean, some versions it's like part of his ship, like became like a depot kind of station. And then some versions it's just kind of like he like kind of somehow builds it. Like it's very like it very depends on what your source is from.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but it's always at the North Pole for some reason.
Yes. Yeah. It looks like it's like rising up, or either out of the ice, or maybe it's being lifted. Maybe.
Could be.
Well, that's Metamorpho right there. We know that. He looks, ugly, which is correct for Metamorpho.
Looks like an experiment gone wrong.
Mm-hmm. City destruction, I assume, from the kaiju. Luthor, we know he gets his hands dirty at some point. Potentially by way of trying to fight Superman in a big dumb green suit. Maybe. Could we finally get a Superman movie with him in that green suit?
I feel like we probably will, but maybe not this one. That feels like a sequel thing, because like I feel like Luthor kind of starts out where they're having other things interact with Superman first before he feels like he has to do it himself. Luthor seems very much like what can I get from others before I get my own hands dirty type of guy.
Yeah.
But it also just depends.
Yeah, it's either going to be him.
More.
This is after trying to fight Superman, or it could be the clone he created, like rebelled against him and like hit him into a wall or something, and this is the aftermath of that.
Maybe.
That kid. Yeah, this guy right here is at least rumored to be the Ultraman clone character, which makes sense why Superman would struggle against him. It's terrific, looking great.
Yeah.
These
teaspoons. Nice.
Yeah, the goons here, I think it's reported they are like Luthor goons. They're in some kind of like armor created by Luthor, which could lead to a bigger suit worn by him at some point. Just saying.
That suit's so bad.
I love that suit so much. It's so dumb and big and green.
I like that, and I like how it's like no helmet. It's like super $1 billion suit, no helmet though. Like
it's a glass dome sometimes.
Sometimes it's like once I'm properly throwing rock, it's all over. Like
yeah.
Oh my gosh, especially when you're fighting Superman.
I also want to say, the vast majority of people that seemingly saw this trailer first saw it on Twitter, and the Twitter video is terrible. It's compressed. Everything looks pixely. Colors look off. So all the people complaining about like color grading and just how things look, how like CGI is, watching this trailer, and how we're watching it right now doesn't even really give it justice. Watching this trailer on a big 4K TV like I did with my roommate where we were analyzing it, scenes like this, which people try to compare to the climax of The Flash, which did look terrible anywhere you watched it, it looks better in a non-compressed Twitter format. So, yeah. Lois and Superman, and then again, he's not worried about the orb.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know what that is. I mean, I guess it's kind of like I have to go. It's like, be careful, but it's also like, hey man, like
a lot of time resting.
like I'm sure somebody's getting squished right now that you kind of could have saved.
But the orb was so important that James Gunn showed it off during the first like teaser of the suit, which I still go on record saying that it was an absolutely terrible first way to show that suit.
Yeah, because it didn't. I mean, there was no lighting. It looked busted up. People didn't know what color it was.
Battle damage. You could barely see the trunks. Like it was not a good way to showcase it.
Yeah,
but that orb was there. Like it was clearly a big deal. I don't want to know what is it.
Yeah.
July 11th. Like what are your just like general thoughts on the trailer as a whole?
I mean, I liked it. I wasn't like, I didn't watch it and it's like lose my mind, but I liked a lot of things I liked. I think one of the reasons I think I was more calm about it is because we kind of already knew James Gunn was really planning to lean into the comic accuracy, and then so when we got a lot of it, we were kind of like, oh, okay, cool, he was right. Like, you know what I mean? I think if there had been less talk before and less stuff seen, it probably would have been bigger. Like, they did it. But it's like, the fact that they do the minor things right isn't as surprising because we kind of had a feeling, which is great, and I'm very happy they did. But it's also like awesome, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the trailer does a good job of showing but not really telling us anything. I mean, we see some scenes, we see certain characters in the background, things like that, but we don't really know the context of anything, which is a good trailer in my opinion.
Like, here's kind of my overall analysis of this trailer. Just DC is always hit or miss with their movies, but also their trailers specifically. Like, even the movies that they release that are okay to actually pretty good tend to have not great trailers. Like Black Adam, those trailers looked terrible. That movie ended up being okay. Blue Beetle, those trailers looked okay. The movie ended up actually being pretty good. The only time in recent memory I can remember being actively excited for a DC movie based solely on the first trailer was The Suicide Squad, another movie that James Gunn made. So, all that to say, I legitimately think I haven't been this excited for a movie just based on the first trailer since Across the Spider-Verse. Like, I genuinely very excited for this movie based solely off this trailer. Like, I think every single aspect that he needed to nail, he nailed. It does kind of feel like on paper there might be a little too much going on, but I also kind of felt that about the Batman. I think that ended up being very cohesive, so I'm not worried at all.
Yeah. For the Batman was like 3 hours long, so there wasn't enough time.
That's true.
But I mean, this looks really solid. I really like how they seem to really be leaning into like, oh yeah, this is a comic book movie. You know what that means? We're doing comic book stuff, and like, I mean, stuff looks good, but it's also kind of like, whether it's Guy Gardner's hair or like just whatever, it looks like a comic book. Like some stuff looks kind of weird, but some stuff looks really good. I like how they're sticking with the iconic things that make the like landmarks in certain areas stand out. Like the Forces of Solitude when you see it, this, that, but also it's updated. Like it look, people, when Superman's going into that building, everyone's got their iPhones out recording him. Like it's very like it's a good job of making it look like a comic book, but still keeping it in the real age modern. So it does a good job kind of balancing that.
Mm-hmm. What is the name of that scientist at Star Labs he worked with in the show?
Professor Hamilton?
Yeah. One like minor issue I could see happening with this movie, since there is a lot going on, since there does seem to be a lot of characters like, all the other superheroes that are going to be in this. I could kind of see those elements potentially taking away from some some other important side characters like Professor Hamilton, like some of the other Daily Planet crew. Because we didn't see Perry White at all in this trailer. We know we know who's going to be playing him. We didn't really. I know it's just a teaser also, but like there's a lot of characters that are. We didn't see Jimmy either. Like that was also a little surprising. Maybe like one of the wide shots, we didn't really see him interact with Jimmy at all. I just really hope we get to really see all aspects of Clark and Superman, even in this, potentially kind of bloated movie.
Yeah, and I think also, like, I mean, again, there will be time for those things. Because, again, I don't think, even though I think Jimmy Olsen's really cool and a great part to have in your world, I don't think he's going to be, like, a super main character. He's only going to have a few minutes of screen time for obvious reasons. But I'm sure we'll have, like, a Daily Planet more focused time, or at least, like, things where we'll get to see. Because, I mean, they've got, they made time for Steve Lombard, Cat Grant, and all these people. So it's like Jimmy will have his moments. Perry White's gonna have his moments. Like there's gonna be time for everybody, and also too, just like I'm interested to see how Clark. I know this was more Superman than Clark in the trailer, but I really want to see how they handle Clark as a person and also how he interacts with everyone. Because for me, that's a big part of Superman as well.
Yeah, and not that they have to do this, but I really, really dig the moments where, like in any of the the cartoons and stuff, when Superman, while being Superman, is still like trying to actively either think of or write like a news story that Perry White's been having him to make for a while, and then like after the event that happened, he gets inspired to write it. I don't know if that's like as easy to do in a full movie as opposed to just like a short like 22-minute episode where there's an easy like bookend to do it on. But I don't know. I just kind of like those kinds of moments where both the Clark and the Superman universes kind of collide like that.
It like gives him inspiration or like something that like a clever thing, either a villain or somebody says he later uses in his article, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a
Like I dig it. Like I've loved all of James Gunn's recent movies. I have no reason to doubt that this movie will at least be good. Like even the Creature Commandos show. Have you been watching that at all?
I have not been.
Okay, it's really well written. Like it's like if you liked the Suicide Squad, if you watch Peacemaker at all, I don't know if you did, but like at least the Suicide Squad, it feels right in line with that. Where like even though you are following some people that are not good guys, you still episode 3 in particular did such a good job at making you just feel for this one specific character that I didn't think I would really have any emotions towards, and then when what happened, I'm like, oh my, like I feel really bad now. um, so if he can make me feel emotional about a weasel, which happened in the most recent episode, like I think he can do. I think he can make me feel for Superman. I just have a feeling.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and I really like how, again, it feels like, I don't know, like even just like seeing, I don't know, at least from what I've seen online, people are very like positive, like actual Superman's back, like Superman who feels like Superman, and not like this, just like you lean into the character. The costume looks like Superman. The guy looks like Superman. It's like it looks exactly like what it is. Also, I want to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
They seemingly have dropped the legacy part, and it's just Superman now.
That was a thing about a year ago. James Gunn decided it was just going to be called Superman.
Okay, did I miss that? I don't remember.
We talked about it whenever that happened, but yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe it has been a while. Maybe I just forgot because I noticed that, and I was like, oh, it's just which again I like. No, I think you're right. I think now I remember we did talk about it, but yeah, no, I do like that. It's just because I feel like again when it's Superman, like one, it's been long enough. I mean, it was what 1978. Yeah. I mean, it's been almost man, what 50 years almost, maybe. So
yeah.
So it's kind of like I feel like we're not. I feel like it's gonna be hard to get the two confused. For one, and also too, like no misconstrues about what the movie's about. No, like it's exactly what you think it is. It's Superman.
Yep. Like other characters can show up. Like you can have a hot girl in a Superman movie, but it's mostly about Superman.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too. I'm really hoping that for the most part, the other characters are around, but kind of in the background. And Superman takes center stage as he should because it's
like
movie.
Anything that they do is just there purely to enhance Superman's story, and I think it'll work out.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really excited. Everyone looks good. I'm just, oh man, it's been a long time coming, man. Like I'm really excited to see Superman.
Yeah, like. Yeah, as excited as I am for the concept of a good Fantastic Four movie, like I if I were a betting man, I feel like I would. It would be good odds to say that Superman is going to make more money than Fantastic Four.
Absolutely. I mean, unless it's just not good. But I mean, like, yeah. I mean, again, Superman just name brand alone drop kicks like any other. Like, you know what I mean? Drop kicks
Yeah.
pretty much anything that's not Spider-Man or Batman and just name brand. Like,
Mhm.
Superman wins. And then that, along with, it looks good. It's from the person who made all these other things that people like.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, because
I know I'm gonna see it.
the highest grossing James Gunn movie is Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at like 870 something million. But that's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is now a big brand, but it's not Superman big,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like people who have never watched that movie aren't gonna just watch it just because it's super. Like people who don't watch superhero movies are gonna watch this movie.
Yeah. And I've seen people be concerned about Superman and or Fantastic Four coming out because both of them are coming out in July, and also a new Jurassic World movie is coming out in July, and those always make $1 billion for some stupid reason. It's
I like
like,
dinosaurs.
one of these movies is gonna, is gonna flop. But like, I could easily see it being a situation like this past Thanksgiving weekend. Wicked, Gladiator, and Moana, and like one other movie all did very well all at the same time. Like, I think these movies can coexist to make a lot of money at the same time. Like, I think it's possible. So, yeah. All
Really
we
good.
gotta do is
I'm
just
considering.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I was say it's July, which is like that's far away. But now I'm considering. I'm like, yeah, I wonder if I'll get like I might wear a costume to the theater. I don't know. That might be that guy.
I'm gonna dress up as
I
Thor.
wonder. Oh gosh. It's like the memes when the Far From Home came out and the guys in
Oh.
like he's like, oh, what movie are you here to see? And it just like the camera pans over. It's just a guy like full Tobey Maguire costume. It's just like, really, man? Oh man.
Right. So moving on from the start of a probably good universe over to the
Oh boy.
probable end of a really bad universe. Um, apparently, after the release of Kraven the Hunter, the Sony Marvel Universe of Spider-Man character, whatever they called it, is probably officially over.
Um.
Yeah, like it was originally reported as Craven will be the last one of these, but then like the next day it was reported that Sony is thinking about like restructuring, potentially they're taking the recent misfires very seriously. Like, misfires?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's kind of like Misfire's a little generous, honestly. I'm like, these last couple have been. I mean, the Venom movies are doing okay, but everything else has been hot garbage. Like record breakingly bad. So
Yeah, like a a little like nugget that came out of the story after like the restructuring thing started going around is apparently apparently the Sony Marvel deal never actually barred Sony from using Spider-Man in their movies. Apparently, according to this report, after Sony made the first Venom movie and it made over $800 million, that just showed them that they were confident enough that their characters alone would be able to sell their own universe.
this was a choice.
It was a choice to make a Morbius movie without Spider-Man, thinking that he would be able to sell it because Venom did well, which is like the only named Spider-Man character that's even like in the same tier as like name brand wise. Like there's no other Spider-Man villain outside of
Yeah.
Green Goblin even comes close.
What? So did they have like would they have had to use Tom Holland, or could they get their own Spider-Man? Or, like how was that supposed to work?
I don't know. I just know they never thought about it because they thought they didn't need him.
I almost feel like it would have been cool if you had just made a like even if Spider-Man wasn't like super in it, like if it was just from the villain's perspective, and like you don't even see like for all you know, Spider-Man is anybody. You don't even know who plays Spider-Man. Like it's just like
Hmm.
I mean, obviously you know who plays him, but like you know what I mean. Like you never see his face or anything. It's just some guy in a Spider-Man costume. He kicks all the villains' butt.
Yeah, that that would be nice.
That'd be something. That'd be interesting.
Like
Get Josh
Peter
Keaton to
Parker.
voice him.
But this line doesn't really make sense because Peter Parker is referenced a couple of times in Madam Web because uh, Cassie Webb's like work buddy is Ben Parker, and he mentions a couple of times that his sister-in-law or sister, whatever, is pregnant, and like there's a couple of times when like he for some reason he can't say May part like he can't like she asked him point blank, oh, what's her name, referring to Aunt May, and he just doesn't say the name, and then later it's like, oh, what are you gonna name the baby? Oh, I'm thinking, and then the scene ends. So like you're just gonna tease Spider-Man character by name even though it's in the Sony Spider-Man universe Marvel character, like what is, why can't you at least use the name Peter?
I mean, that's not the worst mistake they made with these, so it's kind of like it is what it is. But also, ugh,
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Craven is not off to a great start. I don't know if you've been following this at all, but Craven made $11 million domestic opening weekend, which is not good.
oh, heaven is
Lower than
so
Madam
rough.
Web. Not good.
Yeah, well, it's probably because people saw that on web. That's hot garbage. Oh, this is the next one. No one's ever heard of Craven the Hunter unless you know Spider Man or just finished Spider Man 2. No one
Hmm.
even knows who Craven the Hunter is. And either way, eh, also the trailers for Craven didn't look that bad. They just didn't look interesting.
They just didn't look interesting. Yeah, like it. So I haven't seen this movie. You haven't been dragged to it, right? No.
No,
Okay.
I'm
When
not
this
going to see
when
this
the
movie.
like because you were dragged to more because I wasn't sure if they would drag you to this.
Oh,
um,
gosh.
um, when this movie was being announced and casting and stuff was being announced, pretty early on it was announced that the chameleon was going to be a big part of this movie, but apparently the chameleon, like like the character who becomes a chameleon is in it quite a bit. He's apparently Craven's brother. Like he doesn't like become the chameleon until the very, very end. He like
Boo.
changes, and then like I don't know if that's like the stinger, but it was like clearly teasing a sequel. Like that you're never gonna get. What are you doing?
Nope. I feel like if again, I feel like this wasn't a great, but I mean the idea of Craven hunting the chameleon as he continues to like
Hmm.
change himself and hide in plain sight
Yep.
on paper sounds at least decent, but like why have him in the movie if he's not like a main part of it?
I don't know. Like it could very easily be like a Catch Me If You Can, but Marvel characters.
Yeah. I
I think
mean
that could be
that's
fun.
something.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That hasn't
And
been really done, I don't think.
yeah, and Craven, like, maybe Craven and his brother had some kind of falling out when they were younger, and then Craven is either like hired by or like seeks out the chameleon as like his next big hunt, because that's just the kind of guy Craven is, and like he goes all over the planet chasing this chameleon, and then you know never realizing that it is his brother. Maybe chameleon knows that he's who he is, and then finally when he finally catches them, it's revealed that, oh, it's his brother, and then like they gotta by that time, we escalated to the point where, like, there's a bunch of police or other goons or something are after him, and then they got to fight their way out together. Like, I think that on paper, that's a movie that they should have made, but no, instead, this movie is just bad. Like, the Rhino is the big final boss.
Except the one
Really,
from
it comes out of nowhere.
Spider-Man 2, is it?
Hmm?
That's not the one where it's like from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Rhino, is it?
No. It's apparently a guy who has like a skin condition that like makes his arm bulletproof, but
what?
I don't know. I don't. By the end of the movie, I haven't seen it, but I've seen some like reviews of it and stuff. Apparently, by the end, he goes full Rhino and is just like a little taller than Craven, but has a Rhino horn and gray skin. I don't know. And so yeah, it's not good apparently. Definitely one of those misfires Sony was talking about.
Well, my thing is like, is it a misfire if we're like fourth movie in a row that's been trash?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give all the Venoms a pass, but every movie outside the Venom movies has not been good. So,
but even then, Venom 3, which the trailers for that looked half decent, it's only made like 450 something million, which
I mean, yeah, but that's still enough to like consider profitable. So like, man, these guys are, they're gonna call anything a win that's not like historically bad.
Yeah. So apparently Sony is insisting that Morbius was profitable for them, which I don't know how that's possible. $168 million is not anything.
I mean, it got people talking for the wrong reasons, but
maybe it did well on rent to stream or whatever. I don't know. But regardless, I don't think we're getting, which is also very funny because at the end of Venom 3, the after credit scene of that is them teasing Null, which is like, the big Venom villain, the symbiote villain guy. And you're going to tease him at the end of a movie called The Last Dance where like Venom is maybe gone? And you're teasing him to be like a big saga ending like Thanos type villain for a whole universe. And it's clearly you're not going to get any more of these, so why do this now? Why not have his influence be throughout the entire thing? But whatever.
I mean, I guess they just left the door open just in case they want to keep going, I guess. Is a smart business move when you're kind of just all about the money, but
I just hope that doesn't infect Spider-Man 4. Like, just do not do multiverse crap. Do not do null stuff. Keep it over there. Keep Spider-Man 4 as small and as contained as street level as possible, ideally. But yeah. Also finish Beyond the Spider-Verse already, please.
Yeah, like where are we at with this? Like, what's going
Beyond the
on?
Spider-Verse is scheduled to come out at the soonest being 2026. So not next year.
What happened to, hey, these movies are basically done right next to each other?
I don't know.
Again, I'm willing to wait because it's great, but it's also like,
yeah,
it's like the Invincible thing. It's like, oh yeah, season 2 is ready. Just kidding, only half of it. What?
Yeah. Well, the season 3 trailer looks good, and there's no break, so it'll just be, they started next year.
February. Yeah. That's great, but it's also like the fact that but it's like, why are we advertising something? You doing something you should have just done. It's like, you know what I mean? That's like me going to my boss and be like, hey, I'll see you. It's like, yeah, I'm working 40 hours a week. It's like, Yeah, that's called full-time employment. Like that's what you're supposed to do. It's like it's not, you don't get extra credit for like doing the
What you're
standard, I
supposed to
would
do,
think.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no break this time. It's like, yeah, you should never have a break. That was don't do that. That's not
Mhm.
you don't get points for not stopping your 8 episode season halfway through for like 3 months.
Uh-huh.
Again, like, and that's the thing. It's like if it was like a 20 something episode, okay, I get it. You need time, but it's like, bro, like 8 episodes is not enough. And the thing that bothers me
Yeah.
too is like in between these seasons, so many other shows had like multiple seasons of like, and it's like, bro, where have you
The
been?
entirety of Loki came out between these.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that's live action, but like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, like, multiple shows, like, like, I mean, so many shows, like, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where it's like, what have you been doing?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Like even over at Amazon, they released 2 seasons of Jack Reacher. Um, I can't think, and like I know there are others that came out, but like Amazon is usually pretty good. Like The Boys had a couple of seasons in there. Like they're pretty good about releasing seasons, pretty fast after one another. But for some reason with Invincible, they just couldn't, just couldn't get them out that fast. At least
Yeah,
At least this time, season three is coming out, less than a year after season two finished. So there's that at least.
yeah. I mean, literally, like, I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. We're just It's like, yeah, we got whole seasons of shows and we got movies. Like I'm like, I have started and finished shows in the time
Hmm.
that this has come out. Like people forgot about this show, and then you got the audacity to like, because again, we all to this day, this show has been out for almost like we're going on what almost 5 years now when the show
Four
comes out.
years. Yeah,
Almost
it came out in
4 years
2021,
since
and
the
then season three is 25.
yeah, but I mean 4 years we have 16 episodes and 1 hour long special in four
Yes,
years.
that's correct.
That is not that ain't good enough to be honest. Because like
Now,
again, it all looks good. All the episodes are really good, but like you're one bad season away from your show done.
yeah,
But
and that's kind of an issue with 8 episode seasons or even 6 episode with Disney Plus shows, where if one of those 8 episodes is bad, then that's a good chunk of your show that people actively
yeah,
dislike. Yeah,
and I mean,
yeah,
especially on that season, and really as a whole, because again, that's like I mean that's a lot of your show still.
yeah.
So one
Like,
bad episode is still a high percentage. It's like, hey
yeah.
man, like we can't have mistakes.
Back when shows had 16, 20, 24 episode seasons, if one or two is bad per season, it's just one of the episodes. If the rest are good, you'll
Yeah,
forget
you
about
forget
it.
about it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of bad episodes of The Office, but like there's so many good ones, you don't really care that much. Either just don't watch them or don't watch
Yeah,
that far or skip. Like it's not a big deal. But
you'd like forget on a rewatch, but
but for if you only have 8 episodes and like that's not like luckily, like you said, I don't think any episode of the Invincible has been actively bad. There's been some that like, I thought they could have done more, not like as good as I thought it would be, but like I think they've all been pretty good. But if even one episode of this next season isn't up to par, people might lose interest.
yeah, and I think people already have with how long it's taken to get. Like, yeah, there's been other stuff to distract people, and there's other, but it's also like I don't know, man. I mean, from everything I've heard, this upcoming season's the arc they're going into is supposed to be extremely good, which
Yeah.
says a lot because the show's already been really good. But I'm still like, I need more, man.
Mm,
You guys gotta get on it. Maybe you can get Matt to help you out how to get stuff out fast. I don't know, but
well, I mean, they have other issues with people needing to work, 40
yeah,
hours
no,
a
I
day
know.
just to get it for help.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, clearly, don't go that far, obviously, but
I mean, when they do JJK and Attack on Titan and apparently also One Punch Man now, like, okay. Oh, and Chainsaw Man, like, all at the same time.
yep,
They somehow figured it
no,
out.
oh, that looks so good though.
Okay. Speaking of trailers, did you see the trailer for Harley Quinn season 5?
I did, yeah.
Like, every time I'm like, I don't really know if I'm feeling the show anymore. The trailer for the next season comes out and it's like, yeah,
Brings you back
it's a good
in.
show. I'm gonna watch it again. Like,
Yeah, I like how it's just like, I mean, it's just more of the same, but in a good way. It's just crazy stuff's going on. Harley and Ivy are up to their shenanigans. There's just, the background characters, like Dane kills me every time. Like,
mhm.
just,
Yeah.
it just looks, I mean, it looks like a fun time.
Yeah. Red X. That's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Like,
That came out of nowhere.
my
I
theory
mean,
is that is like Jason Todd
Nightwing.
who came back to life. Who we
Oh,
know he came back to life,
oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. Yeah, they haven't really been. I know they did. They had Nightwing, and they obviously have Damian. They haven't really.
Wait, did I say Jason Todd? I meant Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I meant Dick Grayson.
yeah, yeah. That's what I did. That's yeah. I mean, most likely, yeah, it's gonna be yeah, because it's like, well, yeah. I mean, I think Red X is a crazy pull because I mean, there's been literally nothing on that since Teen Titans. It's like if you know,
Mm,
you know, but it's like that's a really cool. But the show is very good about obscure references and stuff, so I like it a
mm,
lot.
yeah, like not only is it like it would be them like kind of doing Jason's story, but with Dick Grayson, it also would reference Teen Titans how Red X originally was that Robin. So I think that
Hmm.
could be at least that could be fun.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to explore, and also a nice little soft gateway for Red X to become more common in media, just in general. Because again, it's
Yeah.
kind of outside of what 4 episodes of Teen Titans. He doesn't
Hmm.
really exist, so it's kind of like this could be his way into like other things, or like this could become a more household name with the whole like Dick Grayson's version of Jason's thing. So
Mm,
I like it.
yeah. Okay. Moving on now. I do want to briefly go over some of the announcements that happened at the Game Awards a few years back. First of all, just the vibes of the Game Awards this year was just overall a lot better than last year. Still not perfect, still a little longer than it needs to be, still just too much downtime, too many bad jokes, too many too many ads that are weird. But I think like pretty much every single winner made perfect sense. I don't think there were any snubs this year because usually at the Game Awards, there's always one game in the lineup of Game of the Year that gets absolutely snubbed. Like last year was Spider-Man because every category Spider-Man was in. Baldur's Gate and or Zelda was also in, and they won all those categories.
Yeah, yeah.
Same with Spider-Man 2018 with God of War
That's
and,
what I was
Dead,
gonna say.
and
It
Red
happened
Dead.
Spider-Man last time for sure.
Horizon Zero Dawn, and then Horizon Forbidden West. Again, trying to go against Zelda and Elden Ring. Like you just can't.
It's not gonna win that one.
Not happening. But yeah, this year, uh, Metaphor Refantazio won Best RPG. Uh, um, Final Fantasy Seven Rebirth won Best Score. Um, Balatro won Best Indie Game, and then Astrobot won a bunch of things, but most notably Game of the Year.
Game of
So
the year,
like
which
I think Black
good
Myth
call.
Wukong
I
also
mean,
won
like best.
best action game. So everything won something. So
Yes, which I like that more too because again, like you said, like I hate in years past where like one game just gets everything. It's kind
mhm.
of like I get it, it's a great game, but it's kind of like why are we going to do game awards if it's just whoever wins game of the year just wins every, especially when most games now are you know adventure action games. So it's kind of like oh, you win best game and game direction and action game and adventure game and
Yeah.
best music. And it's like come on, like
uh,
you can't win everything.
sometimes that's not the case. Like sometimes this weird thing happens where like in 2018 Red Dead Redemption won almost every single category. The only category it didn't win was best game direction and then game of the year. It won best art direction, it won best score somehow, even though I think there are other
Best
games that had also
score.
amazing scores. Like yeah, it had some good music, but I don't think it was better than like.
I mean, I guess I'm not. I don't. I guess I haven't put as many hours in Red Dead as other games, but like, I don't feel like that. I don't think of like, oh, the music from Red Dead when I think of that game at all.
Not better than like Dragon Quest 11 or Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Like there were other games that came out that year that had like RPGs especially have amazing music and like I feel like those should have been or whatever. Um, but then God of War won Best Game Direction, and then it won Game of the Year. Like, got same with 2019 with Death Stranding winning a lot of stuff, and then Sekiro Shadows died twice randomly, even though the only category it won previously, like earlier in the night, was Best Action Game. I think the Action Convention one of those, and then it won Game of the Year. So sometimes upsets can happen, but usually it's it seems like, oh, Elden Ring won everything, and then obviously it's going to win. Last of Us Part 2 when everything is going to win. But this year, yeah, like it was kind of a nail biter between Metaphor Fantasio and Astrobot. They both just kept winning stuff, and it was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, actually, some suspense for most of these.
Yeah. Um, Now for the announcements, the reason you show up to the Game Awards for the game announcements, you should show up to the awards, but whatever. Um, the the first thing they did during the pre-show, which I don't know why it's this the show. Like there's announcements, there's awards given. Like it's the show, but they call it something else, whatever. The first thing they announced during that pre-show was a new Ninja Gaiden game called Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Ooh.
It's a 2D action Ninja Gaiden game, like with like
Mm-hmm.
a with a like to like a SNES and like how like a lot of indie games now have like a kind of SNES inspired like pixel art thing
Mm-hmm.
that's has that going for it. It looks really nice. Um, the same people that made this also made the recent Streets of Rage reboot. They made a recent Ninja Turtles beat 'em up. Like they know what they're doing when it comes to classic
Yeah,
IPs in like the classic style. It
I
looks nice.
like it.
Yeah, and it was the first thing they announced, and like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, get your audience engaged.
Yeah, one of the very next things they announced was like they framed it as like, oh, here is a reimagining of the classic character from from one of the a major Japanese partner, and it's like Namco Bandai. It's like, okay, Namco Bandai, is this some kind of Pac-Man thing? And then like you see this like shadowy figure like running around. It's like, what is this? And then like a yellow dot appears next to him, and it opens up, and yeah, it's a weird like reimagining of Pac-Man called Shadow Labyrinth. There's moments where like he
Huh?
literally like fuses with Pac-Man and like follows dots like around the screen, like eating enemies and stuff, and it's wild and I love it.
Wait, that's the name. It's called Shadow Limit.
Yeah, it's not Pac-Man Shadow Labyrinth, it's just Shadow Labyrinth.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't like write down a release date or anything, but like I am all for them doing completely unhinged things with these classic IPs, so that's cool. Um, Next up, I thought it was fun how they framed this. You know how Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree was nominated for Game of the Year and no one thought it deserved it because
Mhm.
it's not a standalone thing. Um,
Right.
like when they were beginning the announcement, they specifically said, here's a new standalone game from a well-known franchise, and like you start seeing vistas that look like Elden Ring. You start seeing characters that look like Elden Ring characters. And my roommate is a massive FromSoft who makes Elden Ring and Dark Souls and all that. He's a massive FromSoft fan. But then you know like the character characters start talking, and then like this one character pops up, and it's a character from Dark Souls. And it's like, oh, and then they start fighting a boss from Dark Souls 3, and then this character from Bloodborne shows up, and then like he does like the grappling hook thing from Sekiro. It's like, what is this? And like after all of that, it just keeps escalating, just adding like more and more elements from previous FromSoft games. It's Elden Ring and Night Rain. It's like, oh, it's basically Elden Ring Avengers, but like like FromSoft Avengers, but in Elden Ring, and it's apparently like a standalone co-op adventure game that has a bunch of different elements of other different FromSoft stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, just adding more things together, see what they can do. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and according to my roommate, there's FromSoft does this kind of annoying, but also kind of a genius thing where the story of their games isn't like it's not outright told to you. A lot of it is environmental storytelling. A lot of it is just like dialogue. Some of it is like stuff you have to like pick up and read or like inspect and stuff. It's if you just plow through and play through the game, you probably wouldn't really like get the story. But if you actually take your time and like take your time and really investigate stuff like the lore of Dark Souls and Elden Ring and all that, it can get really deep really fast. And apparently,
Mm.
there's a lot of things in Elden Ring that kind of hint that all these different FromSoft universe games kind of take place in the same universe. Or if not, like it'll happen like in the future or like in some distant land or something. So all these elements coming together in this game makes sense. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, Next up, Turok is a franchise that it's a game where like it was a first person shooter, I believe, on the N64. I think they had like a PS1 game as well, where it's a first person shooter where you basically fight through a jungle fight, like fighting velociraptors and other dinosaurs and stuff. Um, and they announced a new Turok game. There hasn't been one in like almost 20 years, so that's neat.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same vein with Onimusha, another PS1 era Capcom game where you fight as a samurai dude. Samurai seems to be really in right now, um, and it's like yeah, like I just really like when, especially Capcom, because Capcom you can make an entire like I know they have fighting games of Capcom characters, but you can make like a you could make a roster as big as Smash Ultimate of just Capcom characters.
Yeah.
And most of them would fight very differently. Obviously there would be clones and stuff like Dante and Virgil and you and and Akuma and whatever. But like the vast majority of them could play very differently just because they have so many games that they could pull from, and like ones like Onimusha, which have been dormant since like the PS2 era, they just decided to bring back, and that's neat.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like whenever there's like a cult classic or something that hasn't been touched in years, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna bring this back. There's that handful of people who are just like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. And like, that's always really good because like when it's your turn, it's the best thing ever. But when it's someone else's, you're like, good for them. I'm glad they get
absolutely, yeah. And I think Capcom is in a unique position where they can kind of get away with doing stuff like this, kind of similar to Nintendo, where they do make a bunch of different games, but 3 or 4 times a year they release like their big hitter that's going to make 10, 20 million million units in sales. So anything else they make, if it doesn't make huge numbers, it doesn't really matter because this other game did insane numbers, so that can kind of have good padding for these other games to do what they do. Same with Capcom, Monster Hunter games always sell 10, 15 plus million. Resident Evil sells very well. Street Fighter's doing very well. Like they have a lot of franchises that just keep printing money for them. So if they can take a risk on this revival of Onimusha, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's gonna be one of these like I don't think it's like, oh man, we missed on this one, we're shutting down the company. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. There was a time in like 2015 they were looking kind of rough, but they were able to turn it around, which is like Resident Evil 7 in 2017, like that. If that game hadn't come out and be the big hit that it was, they honestly they would at least they would look very different now than they do. So that's good. Sticking with Capcom, one of the last big announcements was the announcement of Okami 2. I don't know if you know anything about Okami. You play as it was a game originally announced on the game for the GameCube, PS2 era, then it released on the Wii, and then released on the PS3, and then it got a re-release a couple years ago on the like current gen stuff. You play as this it has this very unique, colorful, like almost like a water painting art style where you play as this white dog who attacks by the player like drawing brush strokes, and like the if you like draw a certain pattern, it does an attack, and it can like get very in depth, like comboing different like attacks together, and it's I don't know why you're a dog, but you're a dog, and it's whatever. Like run around and whatever. And yeah, there hasn't been like a true Okami game since it originally released in like 2005. So they finally announced a sequel to it. So yeah. And the last big announcement was a new game by Naughty Dog, who did Uncharted, Last of Us. You know them. A game called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet.
That's a name.
Yeah. Once I saw the title, like that, I feel like that title has too many like hard consonants. Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet just doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. But yeah, you play as this lady who's, I guess, like as like a, I don't know if like how far in the future it is, but like she's chilling on the spaceship. She receives a bounty, and then she like flies down to the planet below to go fight like a big robot, and the trailer ends. There's more to it, but like that's like the basic premise of it. And like Naughty Dog is one of those developers. They're like, I personally attribute them similarly in the same way I view Christopher Nolan movies. Christopher Nolan is a fantastic director. He makes objectively very, very good movies. They're just not really for me. Obviously, I like The Dark Knight, but like outside of that, these movies just don't really grab me in the way a lot of other people, they do other people. And like, good for you, you love them, that's fine. But just, I personally don't love them. Same thing with Uncharted, Last of Us, etc. Like, I appreciate the games that they are. They're just not for me. However, when like this was the last big announcement, and like from the reactions I've seen online towards this game, like just the fact that it's the new Naughty Dog game alone, people are excited for. So like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean that's what matters. You get the fans excited, they get ready to go, and that's really, that's why we game. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Right. Like, not everyone is a huge Pokemon fan. Not everyone is a huge I'm sorry, I'm blanking on what games you like. College football fan or whatever. I don't know why that one came first. I wanted to say Mega Man Battle Network, but those don't really come out anymore.
Yeah.
They haven't made a new one of those in a while.
They have not.
Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go. There you go. That was the more expected one. I was like, you're not wrong, but oh man. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's like some people get excited with different games throughout. Some games everyone's like, this is gonna be awesome. And everyone, pretty much everyone's like, oh, GTA 6, great.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
For me, it's the little things when like, oh, the sequel to this game that I played when I was 5 is coming out, and it's finally time to like relive those days. Like if they ever make a sequel to that like PlayStation Toy Story 2 game, I'm there. But like until then, we'll just have to wait.
Yeah. Like the day that I hope is inevitable when Nintendo announces a new Kid Icarus Uprising game. I'll probably have to call out of work the next day because I've screamed so hard that my voice gives out. Like I legitimately think I might pass out from excitement because of that announcement. Yeah, some people were like that with this new Naughty Dog game. That's great. Like I said, that's what gaming's all about. Be excited for the things you like.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Okay. I think that's all the major topics I have. Is there anything else you want to bring up or discuss before we sign off?
Not really. I'm just. Oh, you probably can't see it because the thing.
There is. Yeah.
Out there.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just excited for Superman, man. I'm just, I know we've got a long ways to go, but I'm looking forward to the summer. It's going to be a good summer. I'm excited to see Superman, and
yeah,
it's time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care.